Hello, how are you doing today? Hope you're having a great week so far. Pretty chilly here. Pretty chilly here. But then again, we did have our longest night and our shortest day. What was it, yesterday or so? So heading back down to some good weather. Hi, Mirai. Great job on your commission and stuff. Saw you on Instagram. Very proud of you. You're doing great. Hi, Glennis. How are you doing? Welcome. If this is your first live class with me, just let me know. Then I'll let you know how it works. Other than that, just let me know where you're from, and obviously confirm that you can see and hear me, so that I know I'm going out okay. Everything looks fine. Hi, Padmini. How are you doing this week? Legina, I am doing great. Thanks for asking. I'm fabulous. But then again, I'm usually fabulous. Alrighty, so we will start on the hour, if this is your first class with me. We are drawing trees and grass today. I'm quite looking forward to it. It's going to be a nice, easy class. Definitely going to be fun. I hope you get that other commission. I hope you put it out there. Awesome, Janice, welcome. Alrighty, so for those of you that are here for your first time, I'm recording the class, so you can pause at any time if you get a call or something like that you have to take, and then you can just press the play button for it to continue from where you stopped. If you want to jump back into the live, either at the top or on the bottom, there's a grayed out live text. Just click that, then you'll jump back to where we are in the live class. So you do have to log into your Gmail or your YouTube account to chat with. Please do, because we're a friendly bunch. And obviously I'm checking the chat box all the way along as we go. So if you ask me questions, I'll answer them for you. Other than that, just chill. You're welcome to work with. You're welcome to just sit back and watch the class and then follow along later. That's also fine. Hi, Violetta, Kathy, Karen, Janice, I did greet you, eh? Great to have you here today. So we're nearly on the hour. I'll start on the hour. I'd like to give everybody just a few minutes to settle in, make sure the speakers are working and all those little technical things are sorted before we get going. Hi, Howard. How are you doing? How's the weather in Calgary today? Violetta, I'm assuming it's lovely, fabulous weather there by you, being in Florida. Awesome. Awesome. That's great, Janice. So if you are working with today, all you really need is a darkish pencil and a sheet of paper and an eraser. Yeah, I think your Tombow Mono would probably come in handy. Other than that, yeah, nothing really too much today. We're nearly on the hour, and then we'll get going. Alrighty. Hello, and thank you for joining me in the class today. We're continuing our series on drawing landscapes. Today we're doing trees and grass in a positive drawing technique. It's going to be great fun. If it's your first time drawing ever, go for it. Follow along. You don't need much today. You need a piece of paper to draw on, a nice darkish pencil, say an 8 or a 9B, a Tombow Mono eraser, just a little pen-shaped eraser like that, and then maybe just a cloth. That's about all we're going to need. Nice, easy, flowing thing, because I want to do today in like more of a sketching style. Let's say you're outdoors on plain air and you just want to sketch the scene. That's the kind of technique I'm going to show you today. So we'll start off by showing you what the picture looks like that we're going to work from, and then we'll take it from there. So I got this guy off Pixabay. Just a real typical little landscape that you'd see when you're out hiking or so. So it should be fun to draw. I think what we'll do is we'll zoom well in and just sketch that, because that's sort of the focal point, hey? The house, and then we get to draw some nice trees, and then there's this lovely grass in the foreground, and I'll show you how to tackle that. Alrighty, so I'm drawing just on a standard bit of photocopy paper, nothing fancy. So if you are a patron, you can go and download the reference material. There's a color photo. There's the grayscale one, which I work from because it's easier to reference. There's a little bit of a sketch template there as well, which you can use. There's not too much to sketch, but just so that if you're new, help you get the proportions on that house correct. All right, so let's start off just by doing a little bit of planning. When you've got something like this, trees, you really don't need to draw. You just eyeball their angle and their shape, and I'll show you how to do that. And here, this little ridge line over there, we'd need to draw that so that we know where it is. And then obviously that's a man-made structure, so you do need to get him reasonably accurate. Alrighty, so let's go. I think what I'll do is zoom in. So we'll go to that camera over there, and then we'll just sketch out just the house and the tree line and so on, just to get us going. That way we'll have a rough idea where everything is. So I think I'm going to use just a 8 or a 9B pencil. Any darkish pencil, doesn't really matter. And let's put that you wouldn't quite call it a horizon, just a little ridge line. We'll just sketch him in around there, and then we'll put our house down, let's say around here somewhere. So we've got 3 verticals. So I usually start off with the verticals. And all I'm doing is I'm just judging their distances. So the house is starting more or less 45 degrees, eh? So we've got that. And then I'm going to judge just the height of one of those walls. And I'm going to sketch that in there like that. So what happens is you've got perspective happening on that building. So all these lines here end up going towards a vanishing point on the horizon. So it gets smaller towards the back of the building. Whatever's closest to you is bigger, and what's further away from you becomes smaller. Start from there, and then we go up So it does end up past that little corner over there. Because you've got that little bit of an overhang. The same on this side over here. You've got that little bit of an overhang that's happening over there like that. So then this guy comes out over there. Your verticals, keep them vertical. They've got to stay vertical. So there's that inside of that roof over there, and then around this vicinity here. So I'm going to draw just a line that going down towards the horizon. Same there. And then I'll just judge from the edges. Yeah, probably somewhere like that. There's your windows. And then there's a door. Seems to be a door in this vicinity over here, so we can draw two verticals there. Probably about that wide. And then the top of him is also going to go down to the vanishing point. If you want to learn about these vanishing points and stuff, I do have a class on perspective, 1, 2, and 3 point perspective. So you can go take a look at that. And then here we've got some fences and stuff. I think we'll just judge that in. Here for this tree, what I'll do with the tree is, if I want to get a bit of a likeness, then all I'm going to do is, the first thing I'm going to do is just judge his height. So you've got, seems to be roughly double the height of the house. So he's going to end around that vicinity there. And then he comes down. So now trees, they never, let's maybe do that. Trees seldom grow upright. That they always have just a bit of an angle to them. So it's the same with all these trees over here. They've all got just that little bit of an angle to them. Some more, some less. So what you want to do is just look for that angle. So we can start here and put maybe in this little, there's that skinny little branch over there. Let me zoom in there like that. And then you've got a little clump coming out around here. Can you see that? Then you've got another clump coming. There's an individual branch coming out somewhere there like that. And then below that, there's a clump giving you sort of a shape like that. Then there's another little branch, and then there's a few little twisty branches, and they together form a little shape like that. And then here at the bottom, you've got some shapes coming out there, something like that. So I just give myself a feel for where those little branches and areas of leaves are. And that's where I'm going to get a reasonable likeness of the tree. Always remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. I promise you, nobody, unless it's a very distinct shape on that tree, nobody's going to really remember where those guys are. But it just gives you an idea, and it also stops you from drawing little primary school trees. In primary school, you draw your trees like this, perfectly symmetrical like that. So by blocking out just these little shapes that you've got from the tree, it stops you from doing that. So each half of the tree is now unique. Alrighty. So what I'm going to do now is let's just get some kind of a sky going on at the back. So I'm going to take just a spare sheet of paper and a dark pencil like an 8 or a 9B and just scratch over it. And I'm going to fill up this whole sheet of paper with this graphite. Now I'm going to take just an old piece of t-shirting material, any lint-free cloth, so you can rub over here. And now you've picked up some of that graphite on your cloth, and we're going to use that to draw with. So I'm going to go over everything. Like I say, today we're just sort of doing a sketch. So we're not going to fill up the whole paper. We'll fade him out to the sides. And to the top. You can now check how much graphite and how much tonal value you've put down just by placing another piece of paper next to it again, and you can see how much tonal value you've got. Alright, so I'm going to just do a little bit of circular motion because it's still a little bit stripy. And that'll help to get rid of the stripy effect. Just enough so that we can still see our little sketch outlines. So let's maybe go to there. That's roughly what we've got now, eh? Something like that. Alright, so to put some clouds in there, all I'm going to do is just take my eraser. So the easiest eraser to use is just a kneaded eraser. So there aren't really too many clouds in the sky. I can see there's something in this vicinity over here. Maybe I'll just roll him along there. You can use a regular eraser as well. And I'm just going to lift out some random little shapes using the photo as a reference, because that now gives me ideas of what to put where. Yeah, I think something like that. Now I'm going to take my finger and just put it inside my cloth that's got the graphite on it, because now we've got some highlights. So those highlights are going to gradually to form a shape of a cloud. You're going to have a darker through to lighter areas. So just here and there, little darker bits. Yeah, that's fine. If you do want to see how I draw clouds, there is another class on that available on my website. There's a nice tutorial there on drawing clouds, and then there's a bit of a seascape with a lighthouse in it. Alright, so now I'm going to just take just a 6B pencil. And we're going to start sketching out that tree. So when I'm sketching a tree like this, I think just give me a second to adjust this camera. I'll put you down there. Then I can zoom in a bit more on that camera. On that tree, I mean. you'll be able to see the technique better. Let's see. Yeah, let's do that. We're roughly side by side. So all you need is a sharp point pencil. So I'm going to start here. Usually at the top, and then work my way down. But you can start anyway, to be honest. So we've got a nice little branch over there. So I'll just scribble him in. And like I say, you can start anywhere. I like to start at the top because then you know your tree is not going to grow taller and taller and taller on you. You've locked in his height. And from there you can start just one side and work your way down. So let's maybe start on this side. We've got just a branch doing something like that. Now we need to get those leaves in. So as you can see, you can't see individual leaves. So let's just take a scrap piece of paper. Now I'm going to exaggerate the motion that I'm going to use. I'm going to do two motions. The one is just wiggles and squiggles like that, and the other one is more like just a scribble like that. These guys I'm going to do on the edges, and these guys I'm going to do on the inside of the tree. So all put together, those show you the directions where your that your leaves go. For example, let's take this branch over here. We can see these guys doing sort of this directions, eh? So you're going to take these little stabs and jabs and just make sure you've got yourself a nice sharp pencil point. So I just need to sharpen mine. Mine's not as good as it should be. Hi guys, welcome to the class. Alright, so nice sharp pencil, because that gives you nice sharp detail. And I'm going to do this little stabbing, jabbing technique in the directions where I'll see these leaves are pointing in. So you'll now see that your tree has got these little bits form a silhouette. Let's maybe add just, well, we've got a nice sharp point, a few little, see there's a few little loose branches coming off of that fellow over there. Okay, so these edges over here, where we're using this little, like a stabbing motion, is forming that silhouette for us. The silhouette is on the outside of the tree, not on the inside. So it's here on the silhouette where you want to create that impression of tons and tons of detail. But as you see, using this technique, you can draw any type of tree. Using this technique, and it'll look correct. And it doesn't take long. Okay, so there's that branch, and there's another little branch going over there. And because you're now first establishing that silhouette, you'll be quite surprised how accurate you work, or how good a likeness of a tree you'll get, even though it's not perfectly accurate. In actual fact, as I'm drawing like this, I'll often even end up having to skip a whole branch or skip a whole area just because I've estimated the stuff incorrectly. Alrighty, so I'm going to just gradually work this in, just so that I know where that silhouette is like that. And then there's one branch that seems to be going a bit behind this little ridge of ours. So I think what we should do is let's go wide again for a sec. And let's just establish that ridge line of ours. So I'll use the paper and the cloth again. Just with I'll put my finger inside so that we can get a good accurate line over there where that ridge ends. Once I've got that, now I'm going to just fold it in. Yeah, there we go, that's great. So that's very quickly established that little ridge line there for us. Just fade him out a little bit there to the bottom, that's good enough. Alright, let's go back to the close-up view. And let's continue with that silhouette, now that we know where this little bottom bit is over here. So just continuing these little stabs and jabs. Work it in. And at a point, as you work it in, you're going to get to the mass of the tree. So then you can stop. Let's continue back around this side over here. So if I see a branch, I'm going to just sketch him in. And then I'll add leaves around it. And when you're doing this, don't be shy to turn the paper. I'm not turning mine because you'd get seasick. So I'm just sitting at all sorts of random angles to get these shapes and things right. Okay, let's see, there's a little branch sticking his head out in that vicinity. So can you see on this little guy, you've got these leaves going this way and then forward, and then they're coming out this direction. So keep changing those little angles and stuff, because it's those little bits that you're doing now is going to make the whole tree look detailed. So take your time with this little bit. So then trees have something that I like to call place for the birds to fly through. And that's just little gaps between the branches. Like for example, you can see there's a gap over there. So create yourself that gap, and still using these little stabs, get that shape. There was a in between silhouette and shape. Get the shape right. Yes, I'm just continuing down until I get to the mass. So if now inside this mass, you'll see it nicely with the other tree. Let's go across to there. Can you see with this tree, it's got a lot more gaps. So if you find yourself in that situation over there, then all you do is, let's say you've got a gap in this tree over here. Let's maybe work in one over there. So now you're going to do all your little scribbles and stuff. So here the leaves are going down like that, and here they're going up. So you work yourself in those little gaps in between the mass as you go along. That way you know you've got detail inside that mass as well. Okay, let's keep coming down. This is quite a straight little area of here, so I'm going to give myself just a few little bits and bobs that are sticking out, just like tips of branches. For example, like there, you just add yourself that extra little guy sticking his head out further than the rest. And don't be shy to sharpen your pencil every now and again. Pam is saying I'm making it look easy. Pam, it is easy once you've just practiced the technique. Remember, in the end of the day, I am still using the photo for reference. So the reference is my guide, and the technique is what makes it easy. So it's just practice. Just keep practicing at it, and it will look easy when you do it too. The first few times, obviously, no, it's never going to feel or look easy because you're still mastering the technique. All right, so I've got my silhouette, and you can sort of do that to picture it for yourself, to see if you've got a nice silhouette that you're happy with. So if you are, that's great. Then you can move on to the next step. So the next step is, this is now all solid, and you've worked in your little gaps where the birds fly through. So now I'm going to fill this in with the lightest tonal value. Because nothing over here is light like the paper. This is your highlight color in this area. So by doing this, you're essentially getting all your highlights for free. Okay, so now you're going to go over from your little stabbing technique to your scribbling technique. Because now we want to create that idea of lots of leaves in front of and next to each other. And that you get by doing this scribbling technique. See, that gives you an individual little leaf at a time. With this, it's just one big mash-up. And that gives you a mass. Now, when you draw this mass, you're going to look at all the dark areas, and you're going to sketch those, scribble these dark areas in. So now you're going to go over from You're used to looking at all the highlights. Now you have to ignore those highlights. So what I will do in a case like this, if I've got a reference photo, let's take that guy away for a minute and just go to there. To keep my wits about me, I'm going to keep my finger in the area that I'm working. So now don't be shy to press quite hard. And I'm going to scribble this in here to try and get it as accurate as possible. Am I going to get it perfect? No, of course not. Does it matter? No, because in a minute the wind's going to blow this tree and the branch is going to look slightly different. By doing this, what you're doing is you're creating yourself just random masses. Of dark, and this is showing you where the tree is like really full. It's darker over there, so I'm going to add some more over there. So can you see how by having your finger on the drawing, it's really quick and easy to find your place. You're never lost. You may judge things a little bit off, and that's okay. That's okay. Like I say, you do sometimes find yourself estimating things a little bit different, but because you're moving your finger around, then you're resetting that estimate that you're busy with. For example, let's say I go a little bit wrong over here, and I go a little bit wonky, and I estimated maybe a little bit too far. But then I move my finger to here, and now I've got this little branch that I drew over there. He's now my starting point. So that piece there starts off accurate again. Does that make sense? And I'm pressing reasonably hard because I do want to get this nice and dark. These are now the dark areas. Alright, so now this little scribble that I'm using this almost like a bit of a figure of eights. It's a very random shape. You're not going to get that shape, right? You'll find that when you're scribbling like this, your hand will naturally make its own little scribble motion. And use that scribble motion that works for you. And that's awesome, because that's going to make your tree look different to mine. It's going to make it unique, because that's not your drawing style. You've developed your own drawing style. Even though we're using the same concept. Right, so can you see how I'm just gradually filling up these little dark bits? And inadvertently, by doing that, I'm also inadvertently creating the highlight bits. So here's a nice little tip for you. The sun always comes from one direction or the other, right? So one side of your tree is going to be darker than the other. So automatically look out for it. Where does my sun come from? In this drawing here, the sun is coming from the left to the right. So I know that the right-hand side of this tree is going to be darker. So I'm automatically looking for those darker areas inside this side over here. Look at this, we've nearly finished drawing the tree. Simon is asking what type of pencil and paper I'm using. I'm using just any dark pencil. So here I've got an 8B. No, 6B. I'm using a 6B. You can use an 8B. Nothing, I would say nothing less than a 4B, because otherwise you don't get those nice shadows. And the paper I'm drawing in is just plain photocopy paper today, because this is just a sketch. If you want something a bit more permanent, then obviously you're going to have to work on a bit more quality paper. Alright, so as you come down to here, let's leave that area there for now, because we need to make it look like there's grass there. So we'll stop there for now. Okay, here, in those little gaps that we've left, now you need to go back and look at those gaps and see their tonal value. Here, on the sun side of the tree, there's going to be more sun there, so they're lighter. So now you're going to go back to your little stabbing effect, and you're going to add stabs in this. And you're going to just fill that up until you're happy that you've got the same tonal value. So you'll find that some places it may be lighter and darker than others, as one branch sticks out more than the other one. And sometimes you'll also find that you get little shadings. So let's do that again. So that shading would do this. Let's say you've got a dark area around here, and now you've got a light bit over there that you need to fill in. So this little bit over here is catching lots of sun, right? So let's just fill him in. We give him a basic little shading there, because we know that's our lightest color. But so there you've got very light. I'm just going to add a few little wiggles and squiggles to get that highlight bit. And as I move down here, I'm pressing gradually harder and harder and harder. So eventually I meet that dark area over there. So what's happened? That guy is now peeping his head out. That's getting lots of sun. And as he recedes into the mass of the tree, it's getting darker and darker, because there's less and less sunlight over there. So here on this side, I can see obviously it's darker. So I'm pressing a little bit harder, and I'm filling in a little bit more to get these guys not as bright. As the guys on the sunny side on the left. And that way you end up getting yourself a nice 3D looking tree. See over here, there's not much sun over here, so I keep going over that. So most of that is really, really dark. And there we go. Alrighty, over here we want to make that look like your grass is growing up. So you have to unfortunately draw this negatively. So I'm going to use up and down strokes on that edge over there. And some of those strokes I'm going to bring down further than others. So that's not going to make it look like grass, because now you've got these little lighter stripes in between. Just like that. Alrighty, cool. Let's stand back. Let's go to there. Okay, now let's tackle that house. So I'm just busy setting that view up for us. It seems to be roughly over there. Alright, so I'll just start at the top and gradually work my way down. So we can start here by the roof. So we've got a bit of a tiled effect over there, so it's just very close stripes. And it's not that the roof isn't too dark, so I'm not pressing too hard. So I'm just keeping those little lines parallel to the edge of the roof. I'll add a few guys running down this way as well. They don't necessarily have to go down all the way. But again, I'm keeping that, can you see that angle of the roof? I'm keeping these lines just parallel to that angle of the roof. That is important. There we go. Okay, let's tackle this side over here. This is a bit darker than that side. So I'm pressing slightly harder. There. And that's that front little bit over there. And I'm going to press. Let's just sharpen the pencil. And I'm giving it a nice thin little dark line over there. And that just separates this the wood bit with the from the tiles themselves. There's a little piece over there. It's also dark. And that runs all the way down the end of the roof. Like that. There, like that. Okay, and then from here we've also got that little bit of a wood piece over there. And now everything from here is underneath the roof. So that's really dark. So I want to get that looking in effect over here. I'm going to press as hard as I can on this piece of area over here, just to get that really nice and dark. The same thing happens over here. And you see that edges off that roof quite nicely. Alright, now the easiest thing to do is see how you can define these windows and things. So luckily all of them have a nice little dark outline. As that the window itself recesses. So the top and the left hand side will be thicker than the right hand side and the bottom, because you're looking up and to the house, or at the house towards the left. So we've got that. I'll just add those. And then we've got our door, so let's define the door. Also give him a bit of an edge because he does recess. Like that. We don't know where it ends quite over there yet, so we'll leave that. And the door has that extra bit of reinforcing over there. Right, let's take a look. Here's also some other random white thing. I'm assuming it's for ventilation or something like that. I don't know what that is. I'll just leave it. There's a little lighter sign or something. We'll put him in. Why not? Alright, so all this needs to be a wood effect. So we've got two angles here. This angle here, which is pointing towards the sun. This angle here, which is pointing away from the sun. So I think let's just draw in that little, there's a bit of spouting going on over here. So just leave that gap there. Spouting casts a shadow, so that's really dark there. So we're just going to use vertical lines to create that wood effect. But these lines don't need to be perfect. I'm just flicking them because it's wood. Wood has got texture. So to get that texture, I'm actually going to even just add little odd lines here and there. So where I'd start maybe there in the middle. And so on. Let's work around that sign. Let's keep this here nice and dark. So I'm pressing hard. Fill that in a bit more. And then from there, now that you've got the texture, now you can just color in to get your overall tonal value right. Okay, so that guy there's not white, so I'm just giving him a little bit of color. Okay, the same thing happens over here. All this here is still in shadow. There at the top, so I'll start off pressing not too hard. It can't be as dark as there, so I'm pressing lighter. And then we'll darken up where we need to in this area over here. Okay, so first just rough flicks. That represents those planks that make up the wall. And then the random flicks that you're adding afterwards, they represent now the texture in the wood. And maybe it shows you that there's different planks or different colors. Okay, so let's see. This here is really dark, so I'm going to add more over here, but pressing quite hard. Cool. Now I'm going to just color this in to get the right tonal value, because we've got our texture already. Yeah, what the heck. Maybe one or two another little darker texture lines. But always make sure that here on this corner you have a good contrast. So even if you have to use your artist license to darken it up like that, and add a little shadow there, that's fine. Okay, let's add a bit of texture onto this door over here. But I'll keep it different to the texture of the wall. Just so that he still stands out. Alrighty, cool. Let's do the windows. And that guy over there. So he's also not white. So I'm giving him a tonal value just to get the tonal value right. And then there is little goodies in there. So just use a nice sharp point and just suggest stuff. Remember, you're never going to, it's too small. You're never going to draw the exact thing. So just suggest it. Same here, just get that tonal value right. Just a straightforward color in is good enough on there. Yeah, I'm okay with that. So the rest, we're not going to add that little heart and stuff. If you're drawing a larger picture, then maybe you could. Or maybe you can suggest that heart. Let's lighten up this. What the heck? Let's do it. So I'm going to just draw that shape. And carefully, once I've drawn that shape, just carefully work back in the wood texture. And then just give an outline on the inside. Like that. Okay, so now I've got my shape, and just get his tonal value right. Awesome, there's a little scraggly tree at the back here, so let's add him, because he adds a nice little bit of interest here behind the house, and sort of helps to frame the house. So it's just those little dabs and stabs that we were using. Because he's quite spindly, so all we need to do is just suggest some of those details. And he's a small tree, you can see I'm just using tiny little marks and dabs and things. Here, make sure nothing goes over into the roof. There, like that, and then there's some of it sticking out of here too. So here I'm going to make sure that this has got a contrast between the house. So again, same as what you did there. If you have to here, just add a little bit of extra dark over there. just to make sure that there's a difference between the tree and the house. Cool bananas. Let's zoom out, because now we need to add that fence around the house. Let's see, how can I do this? Let's put him, yeah, let's put him over there. So the fence is quite interesting. Take a look, and you'll see here it's dark, but here it looks light. Just because you've got that difference in contrast between a dark background versus a light background. So we're going to draw this fence negatively and positively. I'm assuming it's just like a random fence around the house to keep the animals out or something like that. So here I'm now going to just work on and see where can I see the house through the fence. Just figure out where it ends roughly. Seems to be something like that. I don't want to press too hard because I wouldn't maybe need to erase some of these bits over here. So I'll take a nice, even if you have to cut the tip off your eraser to get it nice and sharp again. Let's see. Nice bold strokes to erase those fence poles. Nice bold strokes. You want to press hard, whack him in, and he's done, so that you're not having to try and go over the same place again and again, because it doesn't really work. Okay, we've got some over here. So I'm just judging those little. Am I getting it perfect? No, probably not. Am I getting it close? Yeah, that's good enough. At each one of those poles, I'm going to add just a little bit of a shadow underneath. And with that shadow, it's also your opportunity to adjust the thickness of the pole. Maybe it came out a little bit, you raised a little bit too broad. There's a skew pole, and that pole's also a bit skew, and that's cool. Okay, so here, this is actually a darkish pole. So I know the sun is coming from the left to the right. So on the right hand side, I'm going to add those little dark bits in. There's little dark little thingies there. Just suggestions of detail. Same with that pole. This pole over here, he's dark. Yeah, cool. So these darker guys, we can just, I think we'll just sketch them in. So here's multiple poles over here. So now we've gone from negative drawing to positive drawing. You can see I'm not working up a sweat to get these things perfect. More or less, that's fine. Because at the end of the day, you're not really looking at these poles and stuff. What you are looking at is the house. You're looking at the trees, because they're the detailed bits. So by not putting too much details in these guys, you're now purposefully making the person not look at them, because there's nothing really to see. Here seems to be a little, maybe a gate or something over there, right? Alrighty, cool. These these poles and things, this fence, casts a shadow on the ground. So to make this look realistic, we need to add those shadows. So I'm looking on the grass. Where's that shadow? And I'm going to just scribble him in. You'll find that that little shadow just settles all these guys down. Okay, cool. Let's change camera angle again. Let's go to there, because now we need to learn how to draw the grass, right? So for the grass, we've now already given it a little bit of a rough texture, just with the cloth. And can you see it is still a little bit stripy, and that's great. You're happy with that. From here, what you're going to do is you're going to give this guy just a grassy texture. And the way it works is far away you can't see any of that grass detail, but closer to you, you can. So as we go here, there's no real details. What you can see is the grass tends to form almost like little lines, because you've got tufts of grass that are maybe growing. Let's get this guy back into view again. You've maybe got a tuft of grass. If you're looking from overhead, let's say you're flying over in an aeroplane, then that tuft of grass may be growing like this, and there's your little bits of grass coming out of it like that, right? But when you're looking across it, you're not seeing that whole thing, because there's a tuft of grass in front of it and behind it and so on. So in the end of the day, you're just seeing those little tips of the tufts of grass like that. That's all you're seeing. So here in front, you'll see individual blades of grass, but in the back, you'll just see that mass there will form a line. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use these little lines to take this from a flat piece of ground to ground that's got different angles and so on. So I'm going to use just little wiggles and squiggles. And sorry, let me just bring this back for a second. So I'm going to just use little wiggles and squiggles, and the way I do it is just continuous lines. So if the ground goes down, I'm going to run those lines down in a downward motion. If it's flat, then I run these wiggles and squiggles at a flat angle. And I'm using the reference. I'm using it as my guide. Let me put that over there and let's just straighten things out here a little bit. Oops, sorry about that. That was a bit harsh. Yeah, let's turf that over there. So like here, I can see the ground is going down over there. So all these little movements of mine are going to be in that downward direction. here, when it gets to this tree over here, things are flattening out again. So now all these little wiggles and squiggles of mine are going in a more horizontal direction. As it comes to the tree, the ground builds up again. So now I'm using a little bit of an upward movement over there. Okay, so here we've got that little path running around that vicinity there somewhere. So I'll just get a feel for where he is. And then I'll wiggle and squiggle a few guys right up against that path there. So by working in wiggles and squiggles like this, you're automatically getting patches of grass out in the distance. Okay, let's add some more on this side. So there we've already added a nice little grass detail effect over there. I'm just equalizing that tonal value to get that correct. Okay, now we need to know where that path is. So I'm going to take my eraser and I'm going to just, in that same, it's horizontal, in the same horizontal pattern, just going to work out a little path like this. So all that is the same wiggles and squiggles, except this time you've walked out or driven out the grass. So the grass is either dead or flat. So everything is just horizontal. Okay, there's your path sorted. So now you can work in a few little darks up against it. And here on this side, now you're looking across that. So I'm going to add just a few little dabs and dashes like that, just a few upward stabs to get some grasses overlapping that path. Pretty cool, eh? Just those few little guys make that, it sinks that path in and makes it look all natural. Okay, so remember this is now out in the distance still. So there are a few little patches of longer grass here. So just really short little upward stabs, very, very short. So if you are enjoying this lesson, there's plenty more like this on my website. There's the link. If you become a patron, you can access all of them. I think there's nearly 100 pencil drawing lessons already. All real-time draw along like this. In all sorts of different subjects. Landscapes, still life, portraits, you name it. Seascapes. Then there's oil, watercolor, there's pastel, acrylic, lots of different mediums as well. So it's not just drawing. You get access to all of that. You become a patron. Very affordable. Alright, so I'm going to stop there at that. Because now we're moving forward. So now we need to add individual grasses. So what I'm going to do here is start using longer dabs and stabs like this. And just add initially very light ones. So I'm not pressing hard. And as I dab and stab like this, let's go back to our scrap piece of paper. I'm going to dab and stab like this. sometimes longer, sometimes shorter, because you've got longer and shorter blades of grass. But they all come out from that roughly the same starting point over there, because that's your patch that it's growing from. So some of the grasses have caught a little bit more sun, or maybe got a little bit more water than the other guy. And now these guys here, they're adding all the detail and telling your eye that all that stuff that they're seeing over there is this. It's just as detailed as this, but obviously it isn't. Okay, let's work to this side, and yeah, maybe just one or two little grasses that are peeping their head out there in the middle of the path. Alright, so because I'm working just in a sketching fashion, let's go wide. We can see what the whole drawing looks like at this point. Because I'm working in a sketching fashion, I wanted to sort of just fade out here to the sides. I'm going to just gradually add less and less of these details as I move out to the side, so that eventually it just sort of fades away on us. And with that, I think we're going to leave it at that. You know now how to draw the trees, and you know now how to draw the grass and the path in the grass. So let's just add a few crazy birds there in the sky, just to complete the picture. Yeah, then I think I'll call it a day on the sketch. Nice little easy techniques today, hey? Yeah, I think let's go to there. So I hope you enjoyed that lesson. Don't forget to check out my other classes on the website. The link is below. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time. See you guys in the live class. If you've still got questions, fire away. I'll happy to answer. Hope you enjoyed that. It would be great if you're not a subscriber yet, just do that. Then I can notify you when I go live again. You can also join the mailing list on my website. That'll also give you, you'll be able to, I send you a 2-hour or so reminder before each class starts, and then obviously my weekly newsletter. Then you can see what's coming up. I'm glad you enjoyed that. See you later, Padmini. Nice having you. Yeah, I love sketching like this. It's nice. You go outside. You just I've got a van, so I just pop open the boot of the van. I sit out on the back, and you just sit and sketch. It's great fun. And when you're going on holiday, this is the perfect thing to do. You take yourself just a little A4 sketch pad with, just a little sketch pad with, maybe even 12 by 16 maximum, and just a little pod with a few pencils and erasers, and you can just sit there. You can draw what you see. Easy peasy. Nice way to pass the time. Very relaxing. Right, so I'll give it another minute or so. Make sure there's no more questions. Next week we are painting. We are going to paint a nice little boat at sunset. I think we'll do that one in oil, and it's a nice beginner painting. If you've never painted before, this is your opportunity to hop in and give it a bash. But you'll still enjoy it if you've been painting a while. Nice little relaxing but very effective painting. And then in 2 weeks' time we'll do the next drawing, and the next drawing would be I'll still decide. You let me know what's the next step on your landscape drawing journey. I just want to take a look over here. It was, who was it? I think it was Chris that asked how to draw rabbits and bunnies. So I think I'll do that. That's a bit long for a live class, so I'll do that one as a members tutorial inside on the website. But I'll show you what it looks like if you're not a member yet. Yeah, I think that's going to be quite a fun one. All right, I'm not seeing any questions coming through, so let's call it a day on that. See you guys. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you later. Thanks for joining me.